just had to scrape out a shed for my neighbour. Can't really see because my window's dirty, but there's just a bit of dry muck left in this shed. My neighbour's having to give up the tenancy on this farm, so it's all just getting tidied up. Luckily it all went in one trailer load, so we're going to tip it at home. Bit of dry muck. We managed to get the back door on the trailer. It fits just about. I'd probably say it was grade tight as well. So right, off we go home. Well, we've had a bit of snow this morning. It started snowing last night, but it didn't seem like it was going to stick. It was about -1 when I went to bed. We'd had a bit of a flurry of snow, but it wasn't really sticking to the ground, and it's very, very mushy. I'm not sure what temperature it is now. I think it was around about -1 when I got up. But yeah, we've had a good inch. And then this morning it's just like in the air, it's just damp and moist in the air, very fine. Very fine snow that melts as soon as it hits your hand. So I don't know whether it's going to stay around for long unless we have some more. But yeah, bit of a surprise. Always a bit of a surprise, isn't it, when you come out in the morning and everything's white. So yeah, we just finished our egg jobs. Sunday, what is it? Sunday the 6th of January. So I'm just going to go and feed my cows now and see what needs doing. This is what Dan got up to last night. He's put a new plate all the way along and welded it onto this chassis bar, because the underneath of this was all rotten, and then he's added this bit of angle in to try and strengthen it, to take some of the pressure off this this big crack. He's welded the crack up. Not the tidiest welding in the world, but he's quite confident that that it's penetrated well, so he's reasonably happy with it. So he's just got to put a plate over this. I think he was going to try and weld that up, and then we've got to decide how much of a plate we're going to put onto here. But yeah, he's got something done yesterday, which is good. Dan's just moving the tractor out of the way because we're just shuttering up in this shed to do some concreting. So we think we got this about the level we want it. We've got the back piece. We haven't fastened anything down yet, but we're just working out the levels that we want. So it's hard to imagine, but this piece here is going to be like the scrape passage. We're going to have a feed barrier coming off that post to this post, and then this 5-foot piece here will be just to put a bale of silage on. Hopefully it'll all make sense once we and then we're going, all that straw's coming out, and then that's going to be the pen. So we'll have to put the straw over here or something, but we haven't got through the straw anywhere near as quick as we thought we would. We thought by now that we would have at least a full bay gone, but just not getting through it, which is quite good, because we might have enough to see us through without having to buy too much. I thought I'd have to buy a couple of loads, but the calves shed are getting through a lot because we're trying to keep them comfortable really, but a bit more stingy on these, and because they've got a scrape passage and because they can stand on the horse muck when they're eating, which absorbs a lot of the water, we're just not getting through as much. But everything needs a bale today really. It's just absolutely sodden now. It's raining, and the snow's melting, and the rain's coming down on top of the snow, so it's like double flooding action. But yeah, we put this back door on. We don't think it's quite the right door for the trailer, because it doesn't really, the latch doesn't reach. But I mean, it was, the chap who bought it off had a selection of 3 different doors and 3 trailers, so it's quite likely not the right door, and it's quite likely that it's never actually been ever used, because this has been a silage trailer all its life, so it's just been sat rotting away. But it does fit on, it does the job. Right, so we think we've got it set how we want it. That's going to be the concrete pad. It's quite shallow in the back and quite deep at the front, which is how we want it really, because it's not going to get a lot of traffic at the back. And it's bone dry in this corner in this shed, so it's quite shallow here, but it's quite deep at that end where it's going to be buried in cow muck basically. It is going to get moisture underneath it, so it wants to be plenty thick. Dan's just scraping off a bit of the muck from around here, and then we're going to put some stone on the front just to hold that piece of timber shutter in still, and then that'll become the ramp that we use to drive up and down. So yeah, quite pleased. The day hasn't got any better, it's still raining, it's horrible, really horrible. So I'm just going to move this bit of slop and then put a bit of straw in my cows, I think. That's the most amount of water I've ever seen running down this field. And I feel like I've seen it flood quite a few times recently. And it's been running for 2 days like this. Every day he barks at 2 vehicles only. He barks at this van that I do my egg deliveries in, and he barks at my Land Rover. And he barks like that in exactly the same way every day. It's like a collie dog habit. But it's odd because he doesn't do it with any other vehicles, and he doesn't do it if I'm driving other vehicles. And I'm assuming he does it when other people drive either my Land Rover or this van. But it's one of those collie habits you just can't explain, but it's incredibly consistent. Right, well, we didn't film it, but we've just had the concrete poured. We ordered 4.5 metres. Dan reckoned we needed 3.8, so we didn't want to run out, so we ordered 4.5, and I think he got it just right, because we've got a bucket full and a dumper full, and we've already filled one of the post holes for the shed. But it looks as though we're going to have to shovel quite a lot off this, because it seems quite high. But it's poured quite nice, so we're going to stick the camera up and keep tamping away. Well, I suppose, yeah, it's always low where you have to pull it. So there we are. We've just got a bucket full of concrete and a dumper full of concrete we've got to try and use up now, so we'll go down and see if we can get some of these posts put in. Yeah, we've got a little bit more than what we thought we'd have left over, but it's better to be that way than the other way. It's nothing worse than running out. When we did that shed, I think we did it in 2 sections and both times I ran out. How'd you figure that? We did it within the space of a couple of days. They didn't order enough. So I'm glad that it was this. We've got too much rather than not enough. So yeah, I'm quite pleased. We're going to got some bits of metal. I'll show you. Before the guy turned up, I just cut some old hay rack frames. So I've got these. So we'll put a line down the middle where we're gonna, because hopefully we're gonna put a wall in, because there's gonna be a barrier between those 2 posts. And so we'll just spike the metal bars in down the middle, one every 6 inch or so, and then we're gonna shutter it up, and we'll probably do that ourselves, mix it ourselves and make it just 1 foot. I think that's all it'll be, a foot or just over a foot wall, and then the feed barrier will sit on top of that. That's the idea anyway. So no, we've never really done anything like that before, but Dan seems keen to do it and get the job done. I would have just used a piece of wood for now, but that's what I did over there. I just used some 6x1 board temporarily, and it was fine for a couple of years, but it's all just completely fallen to bits now with them kicking it and catching it with a loader and whatever. So it'd be better to do the job properly with a little concrete wall, shuttered wall. So that's what we're going to try and do. Well, afternoon, it's Wednesday the 8th January, and this is what we got up to yesterday. We didn't film a lot of it because it went dark, so we got this done. I got my spikes put in for the shuttered wall that we're going to do. You'll be able to tell me whether or not that's going to work. I mean, it's surely better than nothing, but I can't imagine when I've seen shuttering done before, it's normally mesh that's welded onto either post, but because we can't weld anything onto the posts, I just thought we'd just put some spikes in. It'll hopefully stop the wall from moving, but we'll see. I've never tried it. I've never done anything like this before with metal in concrete, so it's a bit of a learning curve. You can probably comment on this and tell me that I've done it completely wrong, but we'll see. So that's the next job, to do the wall. I doubt we're going to have time today. I'm just emptying a muck trailer that's full of horse muck, and then I've got to get all these cattle scraped out and bedded up, and then it'll probably be dark. So after we'd finished that, we had a JCB bucket load of concrete and a dumper load of concrete plus a little bit more, so which was more than what we sort of planned to have left over, but we weren't particularly bothered because we thought the plan was anything that we had left over, we were going to maybe throw 1 or 2 of these posts in. But as it happens, we've got all of the posts in for this barn, that straw barn, and we've also got the cross pieces up as well. So we had quite a busy night. We were working quite late into the night because we had to get all the posts in. We thought we'd only have enough concrete to do maybe 1 or 2, maybe 3. Dan only had 3, I think, holes dug out and levelled off ready for posts, so all the holes had to be redug, all the water had to be taken out, which Dan did. He re-levelled them all, so there's a drop in between each post, I think like 1 inch or half an inch drop in between each, and then we had to drill them all out. We realised that they weren't drilled, and also we decided that it was going to be pretty hard to put the cross ladders up once they're up in the air, so we decided to drill them and bolt them each bay, and then we lifted them 2 poles in at the same time, and we did it that way, which actually worked out all right, but it was quite time consuming, and by the time we'd finished, the concrete was well starting to go off. But we got all of the holes done, concreted, and then we still ended up with a dumper load and half a bucket load of concrete, so that's why we had to do this pad down that I'll show you now. And this is the other bit we did this. So yeah, that was what the bit of concrete we had left. It's quite thick, it's good 6 inches that. It's just when we're backing in and out of this warehouse, it can get a bit muddy here, so just ideally I'd like to concrete all around this concrete pad, because the concrete pad's nowhere near wide enough for the JCB to turn. So anyway, we just had to quickly dig a bit out last night, because it was getting late when we finally got the posts in, and just needed somewhere to put that last dumper load of concrete, so that's what we did. And then I've got this stuff that I'll dig this soil out here, because this is really wet for some reason, so I'm going to dig some of this mud out and then put that stone in there. I might even get a bit more stone and do this whole area so that you can get to the bales a bit handy. It's fine to put the bales here in the summer when it's dry, but when you come to get them to use them in the winter, it's absolute bog. Not too bad at the front of the strap, but it's really wet at the back, so I might end up stoning it all. But yeah, the snow's still very crunchy. It's all frozen over. We haven't had any snow since yesterday, early yesterday morning, so most of the day yesterday it was just melting, and we had rain on and off, bits of sleety rain, and then it froze again late last night, because we were working quite late and it wasn't freezing when we went to bed, but it was -2 this morning when I got up, so it's all gone very crunchy. So yeah, this is a complete experiment. We have no idea how this is going to go. Looking at it now, it's very tall. We don't know how on earth we're going to do the work. We're going to have to borrow a bigger load all to lift up to be able to put the roof on and the gutters and everything. And we've no idea how sturdy it's going to be and how it's going to work out, but if we do manage to get it up as it is at that height with the roof on it, and we get it fixed and sturdy, it's going to need cross pieces. We've got loads of steel, we've got all the bits to be able to brace it and everything. Hopefully it'll be a really handy little straw barn, but it's just, yeah, we're just messing about really. We're just experimenting, trying to see whether you can turn a greenhouse into a tall barn straw shed. So I don't think it's ever really been done, and probably for good reason. Right, I'm going to take this trailer off, try and get these cows mucked out before it goes dark. Jerk it to get the stuff to come out. They're funny, these little horse trailers, aren't they? Also, it's so low to the ground, it's very easy to knock the pipe off for the ram, because the ram pipe only sits about that high off the ground. So you have to make sure that you have to wind your jack down when you drop it off, otherwise it sits on the pipe and snaps it off. But yeah. Half empty, that one. Yeah. Dan's just been to get the brewer's grains. Got 3 tubs this time. Last week we only got 2 tubs, so it's gone a bit quiet. We had 2 weeks over Christmas. We didn't get any. I think it was 2 weeks. It's busy before Christmas, obviously they were stocking up, but it's gone quiet now. So that's one brew. If you get one brew, it's 2 or 3 tubs. If you get 2 brews, it can be anything from 4 to 6 tubs, depending on how full they fill them up. So we can make one brew, as in 2 or 3 tubs, last a week if we're careful on how much we feed. And then if we get 2 brews, we normally try and give them a little bit more, but have a bit left over so that we can carry it through to just try and keep the feeding consistent. So we've got like 1/4 of a tub left from last week, so we should be able to just keep feeding it, and then hopefully next week there'll be at least 1 or 2. Did they say how many for next week? Maybe 2, so happy days. It certainly does reduce the amount of silage they eat.
Stout today.
Stout. I know that might be a darker grain, they probably won't like that quite as much. I think it's a bit more bitter, the stuff with the black grains in. It doesn't smell quite as sweet as the pale ale and blonde ale, APIs or whatever. But yeah. Well, it's the 10th today, 10th of January. We come up with this idea for the shuttering last night, and Dan got it all shuttered up. So what we've used is 2 ladders, spare ladders that we've got. They're greenhouse ladders, they're 20 foot long. And then we just had some old chipboard lying around which we cut up, and we think that that'll work for shuttering. So that's what we've come up with. So we're reasonably excited that that might work. I don't know. It might work, it might not. But that's the plan, and then once we've done, we've got some sand and gravel, so we're going to mix it ourselves. The only problem is it's freezing. I don't think it's been much below freezing all day, so it's not really the ideal day to be concreting. But I've got the sand and gravel. I've been and got some ready to do it, so we might have a go tomorrow. And then we can get the hinges put on and get the barrier set, gates on, and then we just need to go and get the panels. I went and tipped a load of muck off the other day. First load of my own muck that we put in this trailer, and it's completely bent it. I don't know whether you can tell, but it shouldn't look like that. So it's not very strong, that back door. I think what happened was I backed up to a pile, an existing muck pile, tipped it off, and it probably got caught on the grain chute in the muck. So I tipped it off. Obviously the full weight of the load of muck, even though it was only a level load, it wasn't piled high, because I knew it wouldn't go under the door unless it was level. The whole load of muck obviously slid down, hit the door and bent the door, and then as I pulled forward it let all the muck out. But it's completely, I don't know if it's written the door off, but it's certainly bent it. I'm going to have a go see if I can bend it straight, but it's going to need like a bit of heavy angle or something welding to the top. So yeah, that was a bit of a disappointment on the first load of muck. I thought, we were doing things right by having a door on. Going down the road, it just looks better, doesn't it? And you're not going to spill any. Probably won't get any more in with that door on than I would have done, loading it at the front, but having, being able to load it much higher. I don't know. Sometimes you try and do the right thing and it backfires, but it's made Dan think it basically it needs to pivot higher up. It needs either a bar welding on so it can pivot higher, or Dan wants to make an auto opening bar system like the silage doors, the old silage doors. But I don't know whether that'll ever happen. Anyway, I'm going to try and just bend it straight, and then we'll see if it can be repaired or not. Well, that's certainly better than it was. I think I could probably give it another push here. Yeah, I'll give it another little push. But it's swinging again now, sort of. But it's just like made out of paper. I don't know whether it's weakened over time or whether they're just not. I don't think they're very strong built trailers to start with. They're quite lightweight. We'll have another push. Too far now. It's hard to tell from this angle. Should have got Dan to watch me really. That doesn't look too bad. Well, you wouldn't even know now. Yeah, I think it wants a bit of heavy angle or something welding across the top to strengthen it, because it's just, this is just like paper. So I don't know what we've got. Probably have to go and have a look in my heavy metal section, because this is all just quite lightweight stuff. I don't think there's anything in there that would be any good. But no, well, it's at least encouraging that it's gone back sort of straight. It's just got a little muck wedged in it. Oh well, happy days. On to the next job. Oh, we've invested in a needle gun. Great. Seems to be really handy for getting in corners that you can't get in with grinders. Dan's doing a bit of work on this. He's got all this cut out, and he's got a piece of an old oil tank, which is a right angle piece, ready to go in, which is gonna fix the sidewall and the floor problem in that corner. He's cut the corner out of this tank. I bought this tank especially. I bought it in a sale. It was an oil tank, and it's like 2.5–3 mil thick sheet. And I bought it especially to patch that muck spreader up. And I cut a bit off the top and that side piece out when I got the muck spreader, but it's just become a bit of a table in the workshop. But no, Dan's making use of it again now. That's the major weak spot. It's where obviously it's behind the wheel where it gets all the muck flicked up on it constantly, and you can't get at it to wash it off or oil it or anything. So that'll be good once that's done, you know. Just putting a bale out for these cows. I'm gonna chuck all that stuff away. They're eating. These young ones are eating a whole bale by themselves now, but it does get a little bit. You get a little bit of waste just because it's probably a little bit too much for them, and it takes them about 4 or 5 days to eat it. But it's not worth messing about. You end up just spilling it all the way down the drive, trying to bring bits down at a time, or you end up having to bring a little bit every single day, which is just more work. It's really nice. This is like the 3rd or 4th day of heavy frosts we've had in a row, so the ground's completely solid. I don't know whether our fields, because all my fields are very wet, I don't know whether any of our fields would travel. Dan's on a mission to try and get the muck spreader working, but I don't think by the time he's got it ready to go, I don't think we're going to have this cold weather, because I think today's the last day. So, but anyway, it's nice to be able to just drive without sinking with a JCB. Anyway, I'm going to chuck this old food out and give this bale. This is one of the ones we baled ourselves, so there's not a lot of stuff in him compared to the Fusion ones. That stack of bales behind there are all baled by the Fusion, apart from the ones on the end. And there's like a lot more silage in them than what we were baling with our baler, which is good, obviously, if you're paying by the bale, but for what we're doing here, there's plenty enough grass in there to last them. If I was to put a Fusion bale in there, it'd probably last them an extra 2 or 3 days, which means it would definitely go off and start warming up and going rotten. Anyway, I'm going to end the video. Should we do an outro?
Not right now.
Not right now. When's the better time?
I haven't washed my hair for like 4 days.
Well, we're just doing some late night grading. Well, I'm not. Dan and Jess are. It's... what time is it? 10:10.
We're all dead, please.
Yeah, we've got quite a lot of eggs coming now. Probably the most amount of eggs that we've ever had, because of how well all the sheds are laying. We've got 2 sheds laying at over 90%, 1 shed laying at high 80%, and then, well, 3 sheds laying at 90% actually, because the shed that's about to go is laying, we think, well, we don't know exactly how many hens are in there, but if we're accurate with the numbers, they are laying at about 90%, but they're going next weekend. That's the first shed. So they're booked in to go, which is giving us a week to wash down before we get the next ones in. So it's going to be a bit tight, but I'm sure we'll manage it. But anyway, yeah, I'm going to end the video now. Middle of the month. First 2 weeks of January, this video. Can anyone think of a title? I suppose you need to know the context of the video.
Blues.
The January...
Christ, we've had some snow.
Christ, we've had some... The cold weather's finished. It's now 3 degrees outside. So we've had 3-4 days of below minus temperatures for most of the day, which has been quite nice, but that's come to an end. And now it's just very wet and very slippery as all the ice is melting. So Dan came up with a anti-freeze system for all the hen sheds, so they kept opening and closing the valves, the inbound water valve, every couple of minutes, depending on how cold it was. The colder it got, the more regularly it opened, and that's worked really well. We haven't had any of the hen sheds freeze at all, which is quite amazing. We had the calf shed freeze, which we defrosted with our space heater, but other than that, no issues, which is a bit of a result really. Saved loads of time. Anyway, thanks for watching. Bye for now.
Bye for now.